Hey everyone, and welcome to Cat Scratch Kitchen. Today we're doing something a little different. We're going to make some delicious and colorful homemade rock candy. I can remember making it with my mom and running several times each day just to check and see how it was going. It's a fun and easy science experiment for the whole family. So grab your apron and let's get cooking. Okay, the items that you need to make this are really simple, and you probably have most of them already. I have some clothespins. That's just to hold the stick for the rock candy over the glass. I have some small skewers. These are actually full-size skewers that I cut in half so that I don't have a pointy end. Some food coloring and some flavoring. I'm going to use coconut and red food coloring. And sugar. The only other thing is water, and you need either glasses or jars that are tall enough for you to hang the skewer over and still have about an inch before the bottom. Super easy. Now we'll get started. I'm going to take a couple of my sticks, my cut skewers. I've wet them, and I'm going to dip them in my sugar just to create a base layer. And I'm leaving some space at the bottom as a handle. And I'm just going to set those aside to dry while I get my sugar syrup ready. Now I have 2 cups of water in my pot that I'm going to bring to a boil. Now I know it's kind of hard to see. There's not a lot to see though, it's just water. Okay, our water's come to a boil. We're going to be adding 6 cups of sugar. 1 cup at a time. And once you add it, give it a stir. And we're going to let this begin to dissolve, and we'll be adding 1 more cup 5 more times. And you see it's starting to dissolve. It's 2. 3. As you add the sugar, you'll see it gets cloudier before it gets clearer by the time we're done. It's 4, 5. You see it's getting syrupy, so it's not sinking right to the bottom right away. And 6. Now I'm going to let it come to a good boil again. Okay, we're going to remove it from the heat now. Now, if you want color in your rock candy, which I like, I'm going to add 3 or 4 drops of food coloring. I'm using red. Give it a stir. And then whatever flavoring you want. Like I said, I'm using coconut. I'm going to add a teaspoon of flavoring. Now when you do this, especially if you're doing like peppermint, don't stand right over your pot because the heat and the steam will just about overpower you when it comes up. It's really strong. Now we want to let it cool for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll put it in our glasses and start our rock candy. Okay, now we're just going to take our pre-treated sticks, skewers, set them in our clothespin, and let it just rest across the top of your container. Now you should start to see sugar crystals forming within 2 to 4 hours. If you see no change after 24 hours, you can go ahead and try boiling the sugar syrup again and dissolve another cup of sugar into it. Then pour it back into the jar or glass and put the skewer back in again. You can let it grow to the size you want, but don't let it get too large. Otherwise, it might start growing to the sides of your container, and then it'll break when you try to take it out. You might start getting a top layer of crystals to form, and that's okay. Once the candy's reached its desired size, Just break up that top layer of crystal with a fork before removing your candy. When it's reached the size you want, go ahead and transfer it to an empty glass or jar, just like this, hanging, for about 1 to 2 hours to allow it to dry. Then you can store it in an airtight container and enjoy it either right away or later. It's up to you. Once you have your skewers in place, I've just taken some paper towels and cut a little slit in them. You can also use like a coffee filter just to cover it to keep anything from dust or anything from dropping down in there. Now it's really easy to store in an airtight container in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight and moisture. Be sure though, don't store it in the refrigerator because the condensation will make the candy sticky. While it can last several weeks, it's best to enjoy fresh, and if your children are around, you probably have no problem there. Thanks so much for joining me today, and as always, the recipe is just below the like button, as well as a link so that you can print it out. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to CSK and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more delicious recipes and cooking tips. And until next time, have fun in the kitchen.